Be honest with me, baby. Some nights I lay awake in my bed, so much on my mind. I just need my face in your hands, telling me.
So, hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Dale with Black Poly Nation. Tonight we have something a little interesting today. I told you guys we were going to kind of switch it up and kind of, instead of just doing one interview at a time, try to get multiple perspectives at the same time. And today we have some people that we think are some standout people who represent those positive aspects of this particular dynamics style. Okay. So I'm gonna start.
Regal Perfect Triangle on IG, and you know we do the podcast Relationship Goals. I'm James.
And I'm Shayla. And I'm Shantae.
What's up, guys? I'm Leigh Ann Amos Reed.
And I'm Charles Reed.
And we are Atlanta Throuple, and we're waiting to find our new queen for our throuple.
And we're going to definitely touch on that subject as well.
Tyra, Latonya.
Awesome. All righty. So let's jump right into it. I'm gonna start off with like the basics first, and then I have some really, I guess, deeper questions to ask you guys who are interested in this dynamic. So we'll start off with the basics. What made you guys know or think that polyamory is for you? How long have you guys been together as a group? Yeah, just start with that. I don't want to move too fast. Start with that first. We're gonna start with Regal Love with that one.
I've grown up in this energy my entire life. My mom was poly, so I have understood these principles growing up. This union has existed, will be 4 years in August. How about you? What made you want to think you want to be poly? You?
I had no thoughts of it. It just happened. I was just observing this one here for years.
Go to Chris. I'm sorry. TJ and Shay.
So we've been in our triad for about 1.5 years or so. And I'd say for us, the poly thing has worked as a balance, and then just to kind of, again, get the best of both worlds, have that communication and that higher level of commitment within, amongst each other, to be able to keep this going strong.
Great answer.
I think we feel like, I guess we knew. It's been a while. We talked about this recently. I guess you don't know until you actually in it, because it's a trial. It's a trial thing. It's just like trying anything out. You don't know if you're lesbian or straight. You got to be in the midst of it to know for sure. So I guess because this all of our first poly relationship, and it's been working out so far. So I guess we didn't know we were poly until we actually got into the relationship.
Fair.
Atlanta Throuple.
Yo.
We up?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll start. For me, before I knew what the term poly was, I was for it. Let me see, we've been together 12 years. Our 12-year anniversary is actually July 7th coming. But on our first date, those first date questions, mine was to let him know, like, I'm bisexual, I like females, I love females, but I love men too, and I'm not willing to have one without the other. So he knew on our first date. And I want to say I manifested in high school, my senior year, that I would have my husband on one arm, my wife on the other. I just didn't realize that it would be the opposite, and Charles would be in the middle and the two wives on the arms. I wanted it on my arms.
Right.
Great answer.
And what about you, Charles?
Well, me, bro, listen. Hey, listen. When she first stepped to me about like the whole, like, I'm gonna tell you, it's kind of started off with me. Like I I had threesomes before we met. Okay, I've been in the entertainment business for years, man, and I have had, yes, I had to listen. I've been in three-way relationships like that, but not like, I'm not gonna say a relationship, just a one night thing. You get what I'm saying?
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and go home.
Straight up. So when she first stepped to me about smashing her homegirl, first time,
That's okay. Keep it wrong. That's okay.
I mean, listen, we smashed the homegirl the first time, and I thought it was a trick question because I was out of town. I was doing a show, and I thought it was a trick question when she said it. So when we got to the hotel room, it all happened. So it was all good.
But he really thought I was trying to set him up. He thought
straight
it was
up,
a setup.
I thought she was trying to set me up. So we've had females, and then we got into a serious situation, which recently just
it taught us what part of the dynamic we really want our dynamic to be. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I'm gonna jump into one of the questions that a lot of people talk about when it comes to closed triads, open triads, or group dynamics in general. Why do you think closed triads in particular? I'm gonna start with TJ and Shay at the top. Why do you think closed triads specifically are so popular and so represented in the poly world? Do you think it's kind of like people think it's easier? Is it like a monogamy plus one attitude? Is it just preference? All of the above? What?
I think it's more popular to see like two women and a man versus two men and a woman, or three women or three men. I don't know. I think it's just more popular. I don't know if you guys want to chime in, but I just feel like it's more popular.
It's the next closest thing to being monogamish. It gives it a title. It gives it a label in a sense for people to understand it a little bit better. But I think that's really the biggest thing. That's the easiest thing for them to understand is the triads, three people.
And then what about you, Regal Love? What's your opinion on that?
Of course, I'm very opinionated about that. Most of my life, I did subscribe to closed triads, and it was because it gave me a focal point. I understood that and I hate to say it like this because it makes it sound like it's less than. All I had to do was focus on this one and this one, so that gave me more of a sense of control, maybe. So that again, I think that's part of the reason why it is so attractive to most people, because you still have that quote unquote control over your relationship and through your relationship.
Okay.
And it's a relationship built with multiple monogamous relationships in it.
Exactly.
Okay. That's actually a good point.
It's more comfortable for people that are coming out of monogamy.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Atlanta Throuple.
Oh, she said you gonna answer first. Okay, so check this out. So listen, man. So first of all, when it comes down to it, like, I believe it was just two women trying to get to understand each other. You know what I'm saying? And it really, at the end of the day, even though it had to do with the love for me in that situation, I really believe like it was those two like getting on one accord with one another. So since that couldn't happen, it had to go. It was like, this is my lady, and you know what I'm saying? We're still looking for that solid partner, but you know what I'm saying? I still had to deal with the situation of being like, listen, I'm really in love with this woman. I'm getting to know you, but if you're not in love with this woman the way that I'm in love with this woman also.
So that kind of segues into a question I wanted to talk about when it comes to these dynamics. Now, oftentimes you see basically one man, multiple women, 2, 3, or whatever, and he seems to like always be the focal point. Do you think that kind of, I guess, depiction of triads, like I said, similar to these, do you think that causes people to put less importance or value on the relationship between the women, whether it's a romantic relationship between the women or not? Do you think it's an issue? And I'll start with take it and shake it top.
So I would say the relationship with the women is what is like glues the relationship together. Because if the women don't have that relationship, there's going to be that constant, combativeness, and then there is going to create that focal point, which is going to be him, right? And we're going to be coming at him all the time because we don't have that relationship between each other. So I would say yes, it is important. It is a very big aspect of the relationship to make sure that the women have the relationship on their own, separate, just like Regal Love mentioned, like a monogamous relationship or monogamish relationship between each other, just as much as between all three of us.
Gotcha. And then Regal Love. But that's what editing is for. Trust me, we're good. I'll edit all this out.
Okay, my man.
The question is, oftentimes you see a dynamic that is similar to all of you guys, and it has one man, and then it has multiple women.
Right.
Do you think that when the focal point is always the male, do you think that impacts the perception that people see when they think about the relationship between the women?
Oh, absolutely. I hear all the time, how do I keep them from arguing? Like, I'm the focal point. Their relationship is their relationship. I'm the figurehead, such as it is, because that's what society finds easier to accept. But the reality of it is, she's a driving force behind this relationship. You're right. The presentation is more geared towards the male with multiple women, but especially the way we look at it, it just so happened to end up like that. I hope I answered you, because I think that's what I understood.
No, you did. You did. Atlanta Throuple. I know. Unmute yourself really quick.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah. So now I want to kind of hone in with you guys specifically, because this may be important. Because sometimes when things are presented a certain way, people don't really think about the behind the scenes of like, okay, well, what's the relationship like between the women? So can you talk about like how that impacts you specifically and your views on it?
For me, it is super important for the women to have a strong relationship. Even when it comes to the courting stage of getting to know each other, I think the women should build their relationship first before even introducing the man. And we did that. However, for me, the bond and our dynamic that we had, with the women, it was not as strong. Therefore,
Gotcha.
It didn't withstand, I would say. I wish it would have, but it didn't work out. And that would be based on your question. The women's bond was not as strong as it should have been for it to stay glued together.
Gotcha. So I'm actually gonna come back to you, and I'm gonna come up to everybody else. Do you think that vetting was an issue? A lot of people, they rush into the relationships, whether throuples, solo poly people, couples that date separately or whatever. Do you think, what's the importance of vetting? And do you think that was an issue, with the previous dynamic that you had? Charles?
Oh, you talking about with them too? Okay, so check it. The main thing with me is like, I say it was time between them two. I have a career, you know what I'm saying? I have a career, I'm always on the road, I'm doing things. And even during quarantine time, I was still working. But it took time between them two. Like, I had to figure, me being in it and not understanding, I'm gonna tell you, not understanding the poly relationship part of it completely to me is, and that's what it takes first, from the man's perspective, is like, understanding part of it, because I can give her that certain amount of time and I'm going to do what I'm used to with her. You get what I'm saying? Because this is built. You get what I'm saying? I'm going to do what I do with her. But then even when our relationship got serious during quarantine, more or less. You get what I'm saying? Like we were serious before then, but like the move-in process happened during quarantine.
So it was escalated times 1,000.
So she wanted more time. She wanted time, and we all was in the same room. You know what I'm saying?
But
sometimes.
No. Yes, you're right on the who wanted time, but I think the way I would add this part in, she wanted time with him.
Right.
I wanted time with her. So it was kind of like running in a circle. We're chasing each other. And I think in most dynamics, from what I see, the women may be pro men first and women secondary. So when they don't chase each other, it doesn't matter. But when you're in a dynamic and one of the women are pro women first, and then the other woman may be pro men first, we're running around chasing each other in a circle, and somebody's still going to be left unsatisfied.
It's the dog chasing the tail.
It kind of brings up, and I'll go to TJ and Shay. You guys are still, you guys are kind of moving toward, I think you said you guys been together for what, you said a year and a half now, the group dynamic, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not new, but it's still kind of in the beginning stages. Can you talk about like the vetting process for you guys? How important that was to kind of like establish and figure out those individual relationships beforehand, before you kind of like invested into something that was going to be long term?
Our vetting process was kind of over when we found Shantae, because we was openly looking, and then we wasn't finding anybody. So it was because me and Shayla had an understanding where if I didn't like the person or she didn't like the person, it was no questions asked. It's just off. And so we just stopped looking for a while, and then Shantae came along because Shantae and I worked together. So, and it was a big deal for them. I felt like for them to get to know each other first. So before we even got on the road, just like the Atlanta Throuple said, I felt like it was important that they build a relationship first and like they get to know each other. So they went on a date, I think 1 or 2 dates before all of us kind of got together, just so they can see if they even mesh, see if they like each other, see if the vibe or the connection was there.
And I think that went a long way in our relationship, because we really put a huge focus on making sure me and Shantae got the relationship, because just like, Atlanta Throuple, I'm sure like a lot of people go through, it's easier to build the relationship with the man because that's what you're used to, and that's what your primary partners were. So you got to get outside of your comfort zone and outside of your usual habits to be able to build that connection between the two females. And still at the same time, Shantae is trying to build a connection with James, and me and James are maintaining our connection. So it is, it's definitely a lot of juggling, but I think if we've gotten to a level of truth, or vulnerability, I'd say, where when we have those discussions, we kind of try to skip through the bullshit, and get straight to what's really going on. Like, don't be afraid to speak up what's going on, or else we're never going to address it. So that's how we really try to really address our issues, is just real and being honest with each other so that we can squash it and be done.
So Shantae, so really quick, we always hear from the couple's perspective of saying like, oh, we got to vet this potential person and so on and so on. How do you feel about like the process of vetting a couple to see if they are the right connection for you? Because it obviously has to be mutual for everybody to be involved. And also, can you talk about some of those challenges of getting to know two people at the same time?
It was hard coming from, the single person coming in, and I've always been with a male. So Shayla's actually the first woman that I've actually ever been with, like romantic wise. So that in itself took some time getting used to, especially like she was saying, establishing that relationship between us, just because I was so used to always being with a male. But I wanted to make sure that first, the relationship with me and her was good, because most of the time I feel like when people get in or try to get into throuple relationships, the woman is just doing it to please her man. So I wanted to make sure that it was authentic and this is something that they both wanted, and not just me being a play toy to fix their relationship.
Gotcha. Okay. Regal Love. Actually, I'm gonna switch it up for you guys really quick. Your dynamic is a little bit different. It's it's still open, and I remember from the last interview, you guys mentioned something about that you guys date as a unit. Can you elaborate on like what that looks like? I know people are like, what? Like you already got your triad. Like how does that work? You know, that's gonna be the question. So can you talk about like what that looks like to date as a triad?
You think forming a triad is hard? Try dating as a triad. That is crazy. Because we get a lot of people who like, once the conversation starts and, you know, hey, this is who we are, this is how we are, blah, whatever. You see the energy. You hardly ever hear the words, but you see the energy. What do I have to offer? And it's like, oh, he already got 2 women. What do you need me for? Now those words I have actually heard. But for those who are brave enough to traverse the waters, it's really, really cool because you do actually get to, as we speak about, as we like to date couples actually, well, couples and single people who we're interested in, they actually get to see active love, which in a lot of cases is so important, because anybody can tell you how they love. Oh, I'm gonna love you like this and I'm gonna do you like that. But when you can actually see it in action, when you understand that this is really how they get down, in most cases, it helps those people make an informed decision and say, you know what? I do not mind aligning myself with this because I see what this is about. Like Shay had mentioned, Shay in black, yes? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. As Shay mentioned, you know, you want to come in. And it's not because they don't want to be. It's because in a lot of cases they don't know how to be. So when you get to see it actively moving, basically it's like double dutch. You figure out where you fit in, and okay, here I go, and you jump and you in. I'm not going to monopolize, but I want to tell this story real quick. A young lady that I have been dating for a while. We actually had a conversation a couple days ago, and she told me, and I quote, "You help me understand how full my life can be," because she is now dating multiple people. She is solo poly, where she came from an exclusive monogamous background. But just watching that active, open, unrestricted love, it helped her understand love in a different measure.
Okay.
That is.
The next question is, obviously, you know, polyamory and ethical non-monogamy in general is becoming more mainstream. And it's going to be flooded with tons of new people who are polycurious, people who are just new to polyamory, who are actively trying to get into a relationship. What advice from your own experiences, what advice would you give people who are new or just polycurious in general?
I'm going to let the lady speak.
Now I was going to let you speak. I guess my advice was, that's why I ain't looking at the camera, because I knew you had a smile on your face. Okay, so my advice would be is not to rush into it. I will speak on personal experience from where I feel like we may have went wrong. I would say don't rush into it. Take your time, get to know everybody equally. I think that's my sole piece of advice. Don't rush into it.
I mean, that's important though, because a lot of people, and that comes along with, you know, that new relationship energy. that you hear people talk about all the time. And it claims more victims than people really understand because they don't take the time to nurture those relationships or vet the people. And we've all been victims. Myself, Danny, everybody. I mean, we've all been there where we're just so excited about this new relationship. I mean, what could go wrong? You know what I'm saying? So I get it. It happens as long as you learn from them and don't keep repeating the same cycle. Y'all will be just fine. TJ and Shay, same question.
I'd say educate yourself. I would with Shantae coming in, she did a lot of the educating for us. Even though me and James were poly, all along, we just didn't know it. She came in and really came in with articles, books, like really
Black pollination.
Black pollination. She found you guys.
Because I'm like, what am I getting myself into?
Right.
Like,
she wanted to know.
Is this normal? And then when I discovered Black pollination, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Black people. Like
this happens.
It's foreign here in Arizona, or if it is in Arizona, everybody's low key about it. Yeah, like Shay was saying, just take your time, educate yourself. It's hard work, so it looks fun and it looks appealing, but at the end of the day, it's hard work, and you're gonna have to, decide if you're ready for those hard times
and check yourself.
Right. And I'll say is like, don't give up on it, because it's easily to give up on it when it's especially when it's something new, and you're coming into it like, oh, I don't need this shit. I could just go back to being monogamous, and just realize like, all relationships don't work out. Just because the first polyamorous relationship didn't work doesn't mean that it's not a lifestyle for you. Maybe the connection with the people didn't mesh. Just give it a try, just like you would give, just like regular relationships. I don't want to say regular, but monogamous relationships fail. Some polyamorous relationships fail also.
And then I definitely feel you on the relationship energy. Don't let that ruin you. Don't let it blind you, and then all of a sudden you take off the blind and you're like, what the hell am I doing? So be real to what you want.
All right, Regal Love. Now, Regal Love, you guys have 3 different perspectives. Can you guys each touch on that really quick? Or advice, I guess, because you guys view it differently.
Right.
Well, in my opinion, it's important to find compatible energy. Without that compatible energy, I don't see how it can possibly work. If you're not vibing with somebody, it's not gonna work. I mean, I don't even know how to put it better than that. You have to be able to vibe with each of your partners. That's why I always say about how there are multiple monogamous relationships within a poly dynamic, because you have a one-on-one relationship with everybody involved. And then there's the collective poly relationship. So if the energies don't match up, then it's basically like a magnet. You're putting 2 negative ends together and they're going to repel each other.
Yeah. Science lesson.
Shut up.
All right. The advice that I give often is check in with yourself. Make sure that you are mentally, emotionally prepared to support the relationships you say you want. We understand how attractive this is. And like you said, Dev, it's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming more pop culture. So
the trend.
The trend is out. So with that being the case, there are a lot of people who are just like, yeah, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, and have no idea on how to do it or what they're really trying to do. So again, my personal position is always check in with yourself just to make sure that you're being what we like to call a mature and responsible adult about your relationship. Yeah. That's the advice I give.
My advice is, if this is something you're thinking about getting into, I agree with the ladies, do your research. Make sure you know what this is before you get into it. And let things happen organically. I don't believe any relationship should be rushed, especially between two females. You can't rush that
At all.
because that you might just end up messing that all up. So need to let that happen organically. Your connections.
I agree. The organic connections is definitely something that's important for sure. I think a lot of people they don't pay. I don't think they understand what organic is. I think that they think, well, just putting your best foot forward all the time, that means organic. And I get you want to make great impressions, but I'm not always smiles. I'm not always joking. I want you to get to see my authentic self. And I think people, they trying to put up a facade sometimes that you don't get a chance to really open up, and that organic chemistry that you just referenced sometimes doesn't get a chance to happen. So that's definitely important for sure.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that can handle you at your best and your worst.
But you don't know that yet if it's in a relationship. So
That's true. That is true. I'm gonna DM y'all personally. TJ and Shay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a two-part question. What is the most common misconception that people have when you tell you polyamorous, and how did your family take it if they are aware?
Sorry, Regal. Oh, did you get?
I got the second part. I think the second question was how did our families take it, or did?
Yeah, the first part was what was. The first part was what was the most common misconception that people have when you tell them you're polyamorous?
Oh, okay, got you. So to answer that question, people just thought, well, I guess you would say for me, people thought I was settling because I would rather be with, an established couple than finding my own. So I had to break it down and tell them that it's not hard for me to find anybody, but this is what I choose. This is what I want. So, and they make me happy. So that was something that I had to explain. And then my sister knows, I have three sisters, and one of my sisters, she knows, and my mom, she doesn't, but they've all met them, but they've met them separately, if that makes sense. Like the only person So everybody, with my family, I have people that have met James, and then I have people that have met Shayla, but nobody's ever seen all three of us together. But there's only one person in my family that knows I'm in an actual poly relationship.
And I say another misconception is that it's easy, because a lot of guys see it as like, oh, it's a great thing to have, which it is. I'm not saying it's not, but it's a lot of hard work, and it's double the effort that you put in a monogamous relationship. And a lot of guys can't, handle their monogamous side of things, and that's twofold. You got to take care of two women. You got to please two women. You got to, like Charles said, you got to be the breadwinner for the household, because you got to realize you're still the man in a relationship, and those two women gonna look for you to almost kind of, it's like it's everybody's castle, but you're still the man in a relationship, and it's not an easy thing, and a lot of men look at it like this what they want, but going in, it can be like it's a motherfucker. It's challenging, but you gotta. You really about the life, right? Right, but all of my family know. But everybody that I'm close to anyway knows, and seen all of us together.
Yeah, his family is probably the only of the three that they've seen us all together. Like they regularly see us all together. I'm pretty sure I told most of his family, but they were all pretty fine with it. They just wanted to make sure we were both fine with, it was a decision between both of us, and it wasn't going to be something that would tear us apart. But there's a lot of, I guess, misconceptions. The first thing would be, oh, aren't you jealous? Like why would you want to share your man type of thing? And I don't see it as sharing, because I still get the benefit of watching them fall in love with each other. And that's something that I just personally don't get jealous about. So I'm okay with that side of it. And then there's also the, well, isn't that going to ruin the relationship between me and James? Like, either I'm going to go run off with Shantae or he's going to go run off with Shantae, but one of us, you know, are going to do it.
I wouldn't even allow that. I'll just go at my own separate way. That's just too much.
She's really big about both of us. So she's like, I'm not taking one, I'll take both of y'all. So, but that's like the biggest thing. But we have, you know, again, having a solid foundation and then bringing in someone else that aligns with that. Like, you know, Shantae really aligns with us just logically and our daily habits and things like that. And she has that same mindset as what a strong foundation is and expectations and things like that. So that's where she really fit into our relationship.
Yeah.
That's for us, yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Through experience, and I'll say it just like that. Through experience, I understand jealousy is what you feel, but not what you do. And if you take the time to accept that feeling and kind of break it down into its base components, we have found a way that we don't let jealousy affect the relationship. Jealousy affects us as individuals, yes, and we deal with it as individuals, but we don't let it permeate into the relationship on any side. Again, I have 3 decades of experience in this love style, so I'm very well versed. Kyra, she came in with eyes wide open, understanding the same principles because, again, she's been a friend of mine 20 plus years. So she's always understood who I have always been. I understand Tanya, she's just cut from that cloth that says jealous of what?
Right.
That's who she is, and it's a wonderful thing.
Right.
But as far as, to answer your question more succinctly, we deal with jealousy as a personal issue, and we don't let it go beyond ourselves.
Me personally, I'll speak on it. If it's something I feel, I'll speak on it. We resolve it. We move on. I know how not to keep looking back. If you move on from something, you got to truly move on from it.
Yeah.
I literally just read that being a Taurus, jealousy is not part of our traits. So it's in me. Yeah.
I already knew you were I was waiting.
Yeah, she's just naturally non-jealous.
But, I mean, if you look at her, come on, man, she's one of them people. What would she even understand jealousy? You know what I mean?
Can you, Regal Love, this back to you guys really quick. Can you talk about the importance of effective communication and conflict resolution inside of a group dynamic?
Oh, wow. Our favorite way to address that is fearless communication. You cannot be afraid to say whatever it is that you need to say. Shay, and yes, I did say Shay this time because that's who I was talking to. Shay had mentioned earlier about having a hard conversation, you know, and not waiting until things, well, I think I'm paraphrasing at this point, but not waiting until things get ugly to decide to say something. So we do try to have a kind of conversation where we speak on things openly, very, very, very candidly. So it is a matter of understanding as opposed to attacking or blaming. So we try to make sure we put ourselves in a situation where we are informing each other instead of pointing a finger.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So are you saying like how important those platforms like Black Polynation are to us? Yes, I would say for me, it was very important to know that there was Black people, and there's more than just a handful of Black people, because again, we're in Arizona, so like we've met a few, but even in the crowds that we were in, we were the Black couple. Like there was maybe a Black and another ethnicity or something, but you were always like stood out. So it was such a relief. It was such a great feeling to know that those platforms were out there, and they consist of thousands of people, So for me personally, it was really important, and I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, I could piggyback off of Shayla. Those foundations were really great to have. And it was really nice to be able to have people come to us too, like when we would introduce ourselves into the poly communities, and people comment or inbox us and ask us how our journey is going. So being able to not also learn ourselves about poly, but also be able to teach others about it as well, just based off of our experience.
And then Regal Love, you guys are going to be speakers at Polyfest, which I'm excited about, being able to hear you guys. Well, first off, I'm excited just to meet you guys in person because I'm just ready to hang out, turn up a little bit. So that first, but what you guys take on it? What's the importance of having those type of spaces? I know you guys, you have your poly talks and stuff like that on the Regal Love, the original Love. So that's kind of like a space for Black people or polyamorous people in general to kind of have. But what is it? How do you feel about those safe spaces for us that are dedicated to people that look like us?
Oh, I mean, they're necessary for growth. There's only so far you can go by yourself, and I mean that's a matter of fact that most people already understand. So again, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, I have a lot of personal experience, but I didn't have the means to be able to reach out to other people who were exploring this lifestyle and trying to traverse it. Only people that I had to talk to about it was the people that I was trying to live it with. That was it. There was nobody else for me to talk to. So as this triad, it grew into what it is today, and what it ultimately will be, obviously, because they don't understand it either. Nobody knows if what we're doing is right. We don't know if the path that we're on is correct. We don't know if the way that we're moving is proper. So then when you do have a Black poly nation where you have so many other people who are on the same journey at different stages of that journey, so you can go back and check yourself about how you was acting 2 years ago, and was that proper? Did that help get me to where I'm trying to be today? What did I miss? What should I have added? What can I put in now? Because you have so many other examples of people living polyamorously, people who look like us. We finally get to see us doing the things that we think we want to do. Yeah. We talk about it all the time as far as why we do poly talk. We do poly talk to show an example of this working. Yeah. Because it can work. Has everything worked? Hell no. But the majority of it works because we work at it working. But some things just aren't for us. So those are the things that we can't really stress about. But those are the experiences that we can lend to places like Black Poly Nation, so somebody else can benefit from that, so that mistake doesn't have to be made by another person. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because I think a lot of people forget, like, the purpose of this organization. Sometimes they get caught up in, like, they see the flood of pictures coming through the timelines, or they see the interesting questions from time to time. And one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you guys, and I guess we lost our other person who was interviewing, but that'll be addressed at a later time, because you guys showcase those what we consider to be successful representations, those positive representations of Black polyamorous people. So we definitely wanted to have you guys on. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you being professional.
about everything that you guys have done thus far throughout the interview, even with our little hiccups with signals or other storylines. You know, but I appreciate that. So if people wanted to reach out to you guys specifically, Tay J and Shay, I know you guys have a different name on Instagram as well as the podcast. Can you tell people how to reach out to you guys and connect with you guys if they needed like advice or just wanted to follow you guys in general?
The Instagram is Perfect Triangle 60, and we're open to any inbox. We answer anything that we can, and we also, you can email us at perfecttriangle60@yahoo with any questions at Gmail. My bad. And of course the podcast Relationship Goals, we try to go on bi-weekly now, and every other week that we are talking about polyamory.
And then of course our Facebook is the Tay J Shay to search for it. But mostly our Instagram and just listening to our podcast tends to help a lot of people with their questions.
And then Regal Love, same question.
All right. Regal Love, of course, Regal Love on Facebook. Regal Love
Us 3 on Facebook.
Regal Love .33 on Instagram. Regal Love .33 is Instagram. As I say all the time,
Search for Regal Love on all the social media.
Yeah, we're Regal Love everywhere. We're Regal Love everywhere.
Right.
Of course, we have
Regal Love everywhere.
Regal Love Us 3 at Gmail.
Regal Love Us 3 at Gmail if you want to email us anything. And of course, you can check us out Sunday nights, 9 o'clock, give or take. 9 o'clock on Facebook for Poly Talk Live.
And then at Poly Talk Live on your Facebook, guys, if you just simply search Regal Love, you're gonna find him. I know I've actually done some kind of like little searches on Google just to see what the SEO is looking like for you guys, and you can find it. You just type in Google, Regal Love, and you'll find it. If you type in 3 relationships for you guys, Tay J and Shay, you guys got some SEO out there, so people can find you guys.
Okay.
And I'll make sure that we include links to the podcast as well as the Instagram and Facebook when I upload this. I'm gonna put this up probably in about 48 hours. Unfortunately, I have a lot more edits to do than I would have preferred to have done.
We'll be up doing that one.
Right. So
I ain't laughing at you. I'm just laughing.
But I appreciate you guys coming through. You guys have a good rest of the night. I'll check in with you guys sometime later in the week. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at Polyfest if you guys decide to come. But other than that, peace and love.
All right, man. We
Bye.
appreciate it.
Nice talking to you.
Peace, brother.
Bye,
We appreciate y'all. You guys take
everybody.
care. Peace and love to all of you.
Thank you, Deb.